A lone hunter, a mysterious portal, a world unlike anything seen before. Join me on a journey beyond the veil of reality, where the balance of worlds is maintained and something dark lurks in the shadows. If you love mystery, adventure, and the unexplained, hit that like button, subscribe, and let's uncover the truth together. Arthur adjusted the straps of his heavy hunting pack as he trudged through the snow-laden woods of the Dinaric Alps. The bitter winter wind sliced through his thick coat, but he hardly noticed, focused instead on the dense, untouched wilderness stretching before him. He had come to Croatia seeking the thrill of hunting in these vast, frozen landscapes, but nothing could have prepared him for what lay ahead. For Arthur, hunting was more than a sport. It was an escape. His life back in the UK had grown stagnant, routine, suffocating. The pressure of daily responsibilities weighed on him like an iron shackle, and he longed for solitude, for a challenge that required nothing more than his instincts and survival skills. The Dinaric Alps, with their remote forests and frigid beauty, had called to him like a siren. The locals in the nearest village had warned him to be cautious. There were tales of strange disappearances, of hunters who never returned. But Arthur, ever the skeptic, had dismissed them as folklore. Now, as he pushed deeper into the wilderness, he felt that perhaps there had been truth in their words. The forest was eerily quiet. No birds, no rustling of small animals in the underbrush, just the howling wind and the occasional crack of ice beneath his boots. After hours of tracking, he finally spotted his target, a large stag, its antlers heavy with fresh snow. Arthur crouched, raising his rifle, steadying his breathing. But just as he was about to squeeze the trigger, something shifted in the air. A sensation, like static, crawled across his skin. The stag turned its head, not toward Arthur, but toward something beyond him. Then, without warning, it bolted. Arthur exhaled in frustration, lowering his rifle. It wasn't like him to miss an opportunity. Yet something about the atmosphere had changed. As he scanned the area, his eyes fell on a strange formation in the snow. A hole. The hole was perfectly circular, its edges smooth as if carved by an expert craftsman. A faint mist curled upward from its depths, shifting and swirling with an almost hypnotic quality. Arthur stepped closer, peering in, but he could see no bottom, just an inky void that seemed to swallow all light. A cold breeze rose from it, carrying with it a whispering sound. Arthur strained to listen, but the words, if there were any, were beyond comprehension. Every instinct told him to walk away, to leave this anomaly alone. But Arthur had never been good at listening to his instincts. He crouched at the edge, reaching out to brush the rim with his gloved fingers. The second he made contact, the ground beneath him gave way. He fell. There was no sensation of air rushing past him, no feeling of weightlessness. Instead, it was as though space itself warped around him, twisting and folding. The whispers grew louder until they became a cacophony of voices speaking in a language he did not understand. Then, abruptly, it stopped. Arthur hit the ground with a force that knocked the wind from his lungs. Snow, if it was snow, cushioned his fall. Dazed, he rolled onto his back, staring up at the sky. It was not the sky he knew. Above him, 4 suns moved in an unnatural rhythm, their golden orbs streaking across a deep purple sky. The air shimmered with an iridescent quality, like oil on water, shifting in mesmerizing patterns. Arthur sat up slowly, his breath visible in the cold air, though the cold here felt different, less biting, more alive. The forest surrounding him bore some resemblance to the one he had been in, but with stark, alien differences. The trees, though tall and thick, had deep violet leaves that seemed to pulse with light. The snow, rather than white, glowed in shades of icy blue, crystalline and delicate. As Arthur moved, the air itself seemed to resist, flowing like liquid silk around his limbs. And then he saw it. The trees were moving, not swaying in the wind, but walking. Their roots lifted, stepping lightly in and out of the ground, which reacted more like water than soil. They moved deliberately, their gnarled limbs twisting in an almost sentient manner. Arthur swallowed hard. Whatever this place was, it was not Earth. As he stood, turning in slow circles to take in this surreal landscape, he spotted something in the distance, a village nestled at the base of an impossible mountain. The mountain's peak jutted skyward at an angle so sharp it defied logic. Arthur hesitated. Staying here, alone, was not an option. If there were people, beings in this world, he had to find them. He began walking, his boots sinking lightly into the glowing snow. The trek felt longer than it should, the shifting air playing tricks on his perception of distance. But just as he reached the outskirts of the village, a chill crawled up his spine. Something was watching him. Slowly he turned. At the edge of the woods, barely visible against the darkness, stood a figure. Tall, thin, gliding. It did not walk. It did not move like the trees. It simply advanced, as though reality itself bent to accommodate its motion. Arthur's breath hitched. Instinct kicked in. He bolted for the nearest building, a rounded structure that seemed more grown than built, and threw himself inside, slamming the door shut. The room was filled with towering figures, humanoid, yet distinctly other. Their golden, translucent skin shimmered under the soft glow of strange orbs suspended in the air. Silence fell as they all turned to look at him. One of them, a broad-shouldered figure behind what appeared to be a bar, spoke first. "You came from the hole, didn't you?" Arthur could only nod, his heart hammering in his chest. The bartender slid a vessel toward him, a drink, thinner than water. Arthur hesitated, but took a sip. The liquid absorbed into his skin instantly, sending a wave of warmth through him. The bartender smiled. "Relax. Let me tell you about this place." Arthur's head spun as the warmth from the strange liquid settled into his body. He could feel his pulse slow, his thoughts becoming clearer, yet his body remained tense. The bartender watched him with a knowing expression, and Arthur finally found his voice. "What is this place?" The bartender leaned forward. "You have crossed into the yin of your world's yang. A balance must be maintained, and this realm absorbs the excess, pain, fear, negativity. Without us, your world would collapse under its own weight." Arthur frowned, trying to comprehend the words. "You mean this place is necessary for Earth to exist?" A patron at the far end of the tavern chuckled, a deep, resonant sound. "Yes, stranger, and you are not the first to stumble through." Arthur's eyes widened. "There have been others." The bartender nodded. "There are many holes scattered across your world. Some call them vortexes, some call them forbidden lands. The Bermuda Triangle, for example. When people from your world fall through, we must return them before they upset the balance." Arthur's mind reeled. Could this really be an explanation for all those unexplained disappearances on Earth? The liquid still tingled beneath his skin, making him feel strangely attuned to his surroundings. And the creature I saw? The bartender's expression darkened. Not all who fall through belong here, and not all who come through are meant to return. A loud crash from outside interrupted their conversation. The entire tavern went still. Arthur turned towards the door. The gliding figure he had seen earlier loomed outside, its inky form pressing against the tavern's walls. A wave of cold swept through the room, sending a collective shudder through the patrons. One of the golden-skinned beings stood abruptly. It has come for him. Arthur's stomach clenched. What is it? A rogue. A being that slipped through the veil of our world into yours. It does not belong here, nor does it belong on Earth. It is trapped between. The door creaked. A black, claw-like appendage slipped through the crack, curling against the wood. The bartender grabbed Arthur's arm. You need to leave. Now! The bartender shoved him towards the back door. If it takes you, it will drag you between realms where no light exists. You must return to the hole before it's too late. Arthur's heart pounded as he stumbled into the cold night air. The air shimmered around him, reality bending at the edges. The creature turned toward him, its form shifting unnaturally. A void where its face should be seemed to pull at him, as if beckoning him forward. Then the chase began. Arthur ran, the landscape around him twisting in unnatural ways. The glowing snow flickered between blue and violet, the ground pulsating beneath his feet. Behind him, the rogue creature glided in silent pursuit. He could hear the distant voices of the villagers calling out, but their words were lost in the roar of his own blood pounding in his ears. The hole. He needed to get back to the hole. His lungs burned as he pushed forward, the mountain looming overhead. The hole had been near the base when he had fallen through. He risked a glance behind him. The creature was gaining. A ripple of energy surged through the air, distorting the landscape for a split second. Arthur stumbled, nearly losing his footing. The creature reached out, its black claws brushing the edge of his coat. A sensation of ice-cold dread shot through his spine. Then, just ahead, the hole. It still swirled, a vortex of shifting mist. Arthur lunged forward, every muscle screaming. As the creature reached for him, he threw himself into the portal, tumbling through the void. Arthur hit the ground hard. The cold bite of Earth's snow shocked his system as he gasped, blinking rapidly. He was back. The sky above was gray, the wind howling through the trees. He lay there, panting, feeling the familiar weight of his body settle into reality. The hole. He turned his head. It was gone. Had it all been a dream? A hallucination? The thought made him dizzy. He sat up slowly, his hands shaking. Then he saw it, his fingers faintly shimmering with golden light. A whisper carried on the wind, barely audible.
Go back to your life, Arthur.
Back in the UK, Arthur found himself restless. The world around him felt dull in comparison to the vibrant realm he had left behind. Every now and then, he would catch glimpses, an iridescent shimmer in the air, a flicker of violet leaves where none should be. No matter how many people he told his story to, they would always laugh it off and not believe him. What do you think really happened? Let me know in the comments. And if you love mystery, adventure, and the unknown, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more journeys beyond reality.